Besides their great arcade games, Sega makes some of the most iconic arcade shooters, and the House of the Dead series is one of the best arcade franchises. These are extremely gory, horror-themed, fast-paced shooter action games, so there's a lot to love there. This and Resident Evil made the concept of zombies really popular in games and movies back in the 90s, so you can thank this franchise for being an inspiration for some of your favorite zombie media. In the first House of the Dead game, AMS agents G and Rogan arrive in Europe only to find out it's been overrun with murderous creatures. So with the power of guns, they shoot their way through the Curian mansion. On their way through, they meet up with Sophie. He gets snatched up by a gargoyle creature, so they shoot up some more stuff, and then they later find Sophie again, only to witness her getting smacked away by a buff armored boss called a Chariot. So they defeat that thing, and then Sophie tells them they need to stop Curian, and then she passes out. Some more shooting later, you finally confront Dr. Kieran, the mastermind behind all the creatures. He unleashes his ultimate creation, the Magician Type 0. The Magician kills Dr. Kieran because he doesn't like getting bossed around. They kill it with their guns, and that's the end of that. I'm not sure if I can properly talk about the gameplay since I don't have access to an arcade cabinet of this game, and I don't own a Sega Saturn light gun. Playing this game with a controller is definitely not as fun as shooting at the screen. Aiming with the controller works fine, but good grief is this game difficult. I wonder if a no damage run is even possible. There's just some hits that seem unavoidable. Luckily for me, there's cheat codes. 5 credits is not enough to get through this game. House of the Dead 2. In this game, you play as AMS agents James and Harry, who are looking for G after the events of the first game. They later find G looks like he's about to die, so you move on without him. After some more mutant killing, it's revealed that the mastermind this time is Goldman. He sees mankind as sinful, so he created a creature to control over everyone. So he then unleashes a creature. You shoot at it a couple times until it dies, and Goldman commits suicide because he's a sore loser. Unlike the Sega Saturn, I actually have a light gun for the Dreamcast, but just my luck, the light gun doesn't work for the American version of the game. But on the bright side, both 2 and 3 are available on the Wii as a compilation. The Wii's IR sensors are perfect for giving the game an accurate arcade feel. This game is difficult though. I blasted through all my credits by the second level. This game has been re-released on the Dreamcast as Typing of the Dead. Instead of shooting at the screen, you need to type all the words fast enough to kill all the mutants. They even changed up the models. Instead of a gun, they're holding a keyboard connected to a Dreamcast on their back. This is a really cool gimmick and a great way to practice on becoming a speed typer. I also want to make one thing clear. These creatures are not called zombies. They are man-made mutations. Never in the main games do they address them as zombies. The director of the games really like to make that clear.
We actually have never used the word zombie in any of the House of the Dead games.
He doesn't want that in his story. It's his vision, his world.
The word zombie is too trite. From the beginning, I wanted to use the word creature instead.
Yeah, they're not undead either.
Right, not undead. They're actually closer to being created in terms of the story.
But still, when you're sitting around and talking about it, come on. They're zombies.
We never said that. And, well, we've never used that word in the game. I try to stay away from that word. However, it will be making an appearance, but only once. So be on the lookout for it.
Zombies Revenge for the arcade and also on the Sega Dreamcast. Well, that was a pretty easy lookout. The government top secret plan, UDS. It was top secret plan to utilize the dead for military use, but just before it was ready for operation, all was thrown into darkness by someone unknown. A year later, the city had become the home of the dead. Who? Why? The only thing that is certain is the world's fate is in the hands of 3 agents. This game is a 3D beat-em-up. Instead of a railgun shooter, you can choose between 3 characters. You have a run button, a button for shooting, and a button for hand-to-hand combat. There's a time limit for every section of the game, so if you don't beat up all the enemies in time, you die instantly. And when you get hit, your health drains slowly until you find the antidote. It's just an okay beat-em-up. It's nothing special. A much better 3D beat-em-up on the Dreamcast I recommend is Dynamite Cop. Now that game is just a good time. There is a cool part where you fight your way through the beginning level of the first game, but I lost all my credits before I got to this part. This is just stolen footage from YouTube.
Let's go, G.
The most dangerous enemy mankind has ever encountered. The House of the Dead 3.
Had enough yet?
20 years later after the first game, Rogan is on a mission to infiltrate the research facility until he gets smacked by a giant creature. 2 weeks later, G and Rogan's daughter Lisa begin searching for him at the research facility. After a couple levels, they find Rogan and the son of Dr. Curian, Daniel Curian, who's on the good side because he always thought of his father's nutcase. So Lisa and Daniel go off to shoot down the reincarnation of Dr. Curian and destroy the research facility. It's this game where the rest of the series starts to become more cinematic. With its presentation, this game is definitely an upgrade from the previous two. There's more gore, the impact of the guns feel better. The game lets you choose the route this time. This is the second game available on the Wii compilation, and it's also available as a digital download on PS3. The Wii version definitely feels more arcade accurate. Again, the Wii IR sensor is perfect for these type of games. But just like the second game on the Wii, it's still pretty difficult. The version on the PS3 lets you pick very easy mode, and you can give yourself more credits. Look, I don't care if I'm a super diaper baby. I will take any means necessary to see those end credits. Pointing at the screen with the Move controller doesn't feel as accurate as the Wii's version, but it does work fine enough.
迫り来るゾンビを撃ちまくれホラーガンシューティングゲーム The House of the Dead 4ゲームセンターで体感せよセガ
AMS agents James and Kate are trapped in the AMS headquarters because of the mutant outbreak. The mutants break into the building, so they shoot their way through and make it outside, only to discover the entire city has been destroyed. You maniac! You blew it up! Damn you! Damn you all to hell! And to make matters worse, Goldman left a pre-recorded message before his death that in 1 hour he's going to open Pandora's box. So the two get to where Pandora's box is and shoot down a giant creature that came out of it. They then learn they can't defeat it with guns, so James sets his phone to self-destruct and kamikazes himself into the monster, saving the world. And then after the credits, the game says to be continued in House of the Dead 3, which is the weirdest way to reveal the story as a prequel. The game is great! It's more the same as House of the Dead 3, but with cooler set pieces, and you get grenades to throw. Playing with the PS Move controller on this one feels very arcade accurate, and I should know, I actually played this game at my local arcade. So far, this is the best game that has a home release.
Don't run. Don't scream. Don't panic.
Ma'am? Ma'am, are you okay?
In a town where the dead run free, the only way to survive,
Ready?
born ready, is to take matters into your own hands. The House of the Dead Overkill Extended Cut, available October 25th, rated M for mature.
House of the Dead Overkill. This game is a spin-off that takes place in a different universe. The game has a heavy 70s B-movie aesthetic to it, and it pulls it off very well, and the game's cutscenes are pretty funny.
What's up, motherfucker? They met as adversaries.
What the fuck was that for?
A monster made them allies. A secret agent, immaculate, intelligent, a rookie. They call him only G. His identity, a mystery.
You ever gonna tell anyone what that fucking G stands for?
No.
A playboy cop. Isaac Washington. Make him mad, and he'll rip your balls off.
I'm gonna rip your motherfucking balls off!
Tonight, these unlikely allies will confront terror most foul.
But as for the gameplay, it feels very slow-paced and boring. I'm used to the other games keeping you on your toes and just wild stuff flying at the screen every second. I mean, even the reload is slow and not as instant as the other games. I'm just not feeling this one. It's an okay railgun shooter, but not a good House of the Dead game. House of the Dead Scarlet Dawn. This game doesn't have a home release, so I had to go to my local arcade for this one. In this game's story, the AMS agents Kate and Ryan go undercover to a dinner party in the Scarecrow Manor, which leads to them getting ambushed by mutants. They shoot their way through the mansion and later come across an old guy named Thornheart, who is revealed to be the mastermind behind everything and to work to put together the antagonists of the previous games. Thornheart plans to cleanse and reshape the world, so he unleashes a giant creature called the Moon. The two agents realize they can't kill it with guns, so James stabs it with a rod, and the monster gets struck by lightning and dies. And humanity is once again saved. This is easily the best game in the series. You can choose from a bunch of different weapons. Not only do the guns have rumble effects, the entire arcade booth has a rumble effect, and there's air and light effects. This is an awesome arcade experience. I died a lot, so I ended up spending 40 bucks in credits just to beat the game, but it was worth it. If you see this game at your local arcade, please play it immediately. House of the Dead is definitely my favorite railgun shooter series. I love this series' fast-paced arcade action, its deep story lore, and its god-tier voice acting.
The original sin that man is responsible to protect the life cycle. I have made a creature to rule over mankind. This is the final battle.
They're also great buddy games, so I recommend playing these games with a friend, or become your own player too and dual-wield guns. That works too. Please check out any game in the main series, but not the movies, so they look terrible. There's a remake of the first game coming to Switch, and it looks pretty good from the one trailer, but at the time of this recording, it's been 6 months since the reveal trailer, and there hasn't been any news since. But I look forward to the next game. The games just keep getting better with every new mainline entry. This franchise is worth seeking out arcades for. Happy Halloween, everybody. I was really clutch for time trying to get this out before Halloween, but like I got this out at least on Halloween, so that's something. There's a couple games from the House of the Dead franchise that I didn't really have time to mention, well, mainly because they're not really important. I mentioned on the mainline series all the important ones. The ones I didn't get to was there was one called House of Dead EX, and that's that's a spin-off. It now sounds like an extended cut, but it's just a spin-off with two zombie characters, Zombiko and Zobiko, and it's kind of like a mini game shooter. And the weird thing is, Zombiko and Zobiko appeared as playable characters in the first Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, and that was like a very obscure reference when I first played the game. I was like, who the heck are these guys? Like, I know House of Dead, but I don't know what these guys are. And Pinball the Dead. That's on the Game Boy. Just a Game Boy pinball game. And there's a lot of other typing of the Deads. Like, there's a typing of the Dead of House of Dead 3. There's a typing of the Dead version of House of the Dead Overkill. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. But I didn't grow up with this franchise. I just thought, I played some of it before, here and there. But I thought, I need something Halloween-y, and I like Sega, so this is a great Sega Halloween-y franchise, and I'm really hooked on House of the Dead now. I love this franchise now, and I think I'm a big fan of it. And I await the Switch one whenever that comes out. Hopefully that exists sometime soon. Yeah, but I almost forgot to mention the House of Dead EX with Zombiko and Zobiko. That's Japan only. So I would love to review that, but it's Japan only. It's arcades only, and in Japan arcades only. So I couldn't get to it if I wanted to. And yeah, again, it's an obscure reference to being these Japanese arcade-only characters in Sonic All-Star and Sonic Racing, so it's weird. But yeah, happy Halloween, logging out, everybody.